Hi Focus Friend, today we're gonna talk about Vyvanse. I took Vyvanse for over a year and there's a lot that I absolutely love about it. So in this video, I'll tell you how it feels to take Vyvanse, both the good and the bad, the tasks that I found it really helpful for and the ones that I found it less helpful for, and how I felt on different dosages. So let's get started. I switched to Vyvanse from taking instant release Ritalin. The Ritalin was working fine for me, but there's always that sort of niggling curiosity. Niggling is a word, right? About what other meds might feel like. The other reason that instant release Ritalin wasn't working for me anymore was because I was taking it several times throughout the day, and I was sitting in this corporate office and I'd be popping pills. I felt like a bit of a drug addict. So I decided to try Vyvanse. The first thing to know about Vyvanse is that it takes longer to kick in than instant release Ritalin or Adderall if you're used to an instant release medication. So it takes at least an hour for it to fully kick in for me, sometimes even more, an hour 15. And so a typical day for me looked like setting my alarm 30 minutes before I wanted to actually wake up, taking my Vyvanse and going back to sleep, snoozing for 30 more minutes. Now, you don't have to do that. But if you watch, say, my ADD IRL video about how I get my most important work done, I really use those first few hours in the morning really effectively and productively. And so for me, I didn't want to have to wait an hour and 15 minutes after I woke up until I felt like I could really focus and concentrate. So let me tell you what it felt like, and I'll give you some of the good as well as some of the side effects. So I was started on 30 milligrams, which is the standard starting dose for adults. And the first 3 days or so that I took it, it felt a bit like my heart was gonna jump out of my chest. It was definitely an uncomfortable feeling, and then I was getting nervous about how fast my heart was beating, which then would make it beat faster. Now, I didn't have any coffee for those days, so it was purely just Vyvanse. Fortunately, that went away by about the 4th day, and Vyvanse quickly became my favorite ADD medication. So in terms of what it's good for my personal experience, and your mileage will differ, Vyvanse gets my best all-around award. I only had to take it once. I had all day energy and focus. The effects lasted 12 to 14 hours. In my corporate life, I could go into meetings and be really on, whereas when I was on Ritalin or Concerta, I could sometimes just get a bit too hyper-focused and intense in meetings. Whereas Vyvanse, it really just felt to me, my experience of it was almost an ADD version of coffee. You've got the energy and the alertness and the focus and all the good stuff that you want. For that reason, Vyvanse was also great for me on weekends. Whether it was doing little tasks around the house or running errands or socializing with people or reading on the couch, it was great for all those different activities. So that's where I say it's best all around. And because of that energy and productivity boost, I would be more productive on my weekends and do things, whereas without it, I might just sit on the couch and do nothing. In terms of downsides, I definitely had less difficult work focus than I had on Ritalin and Concerta, where I could do just annoying spreadsheets or stuff on that. Whereas with Vyvanse, concentrating on stuff that I found really difficult and didn't want to do was still a challenge. I raised this to my psychiatrist, and he actually prescribed the option for me to have one 5 milligram instant release tablet of Ritalin as a rescue dose on top of the Vyvanse, which helped me out immensely. Other downsides, I'd say that it definitely would make me a bit more anxious if I was already anxious. Not dissimilar to the way that coffee, if you're anxious, can make you more anxious and jittery. In terms of increased irritability, I'd say with all ADD medication, there's an increase in irritability over no medication. But for Vyvanse, I say that the increase in my irritability is the lowest of all the drugs that I've tried, Concerta, Ritalin, and Adderall. So now in terms of actually taking it, as you can see, they apparently have some different ways that you can take it. I was using a swallowable pill, and then they've got different capsule strengths. I started on the 30 milligrams, which is what they recommend for adults starting. Now I did try a higher dose. I did try 40 and 50. I can tell you that at 50 milligrams, I just felt super anxious and uptight, and it was just too much. I also tried 20 out of curiosity, and I barely could tell that I'd taken anything. 40 milligrams was kind of right on the fence. The side effects were higher than with 30 milligrams, but also some of the benefits were higher. So I was sort of torn between if I liked 30 or 40 as my favorite dosage. Two other potential downsides to mention. So the first is one of the benefits, which is that you get all day coverage, 14 hours effectively. But the downside of that is maybe you don't want all day coverage. Maybe you don't really need to focus that much today, or maybe you only need to focus for an hour or two on a weekend morning to do some chores. And also with the long-acting nature, if you don't take it right when you wake up, you will risk screwing up your sleep. For me, I've built really strong morning routine habits, so it was easy for me to take it first thing when I wake up. And so I actually slept better on this one because it is very good at making sure you come down. But if you screw up the timing, you will screw up your sleep. And then the other downside to mention is cost. So you might have noticed on the website here some of these US dollar prices. I've got pretty effing good insurance through my Fortune 500 employer. And for me, I was still paying well over $300 for a monthly dose. One thing I did that helped was they've got a savings offer on their website, and it took the cost down. I think $30 or $50 for me. It might take it down more for you. So that was my personal experience with Vyvanse. Everybody's going to have a different experience, so I'd love to hear from you in the comments below, and I'm sure the other viewers would as well. What was your experience? Did you like it? Did you not? How were the side effects for you? And if you enjoyed this content, please hit the like button. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I've got an awesome amount of content coming out over the next few weeks that you won't want to miss. And if you haven't seen it, I recommend you check out my new ADD IRL video about how I plan things and how I get my most important work done every day. I let you in behind the camera, behind the scenes, to see what a lot of the tips that I share on this channel actually look like in the wild, in real life. Thanks for being here, Focus Friend. I'm grateful for you.